Hi everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and this morning I'm going to get some plants from the greenhouse transplanted. You may recognize this as a planting bed that is on the north side of our house. It is, despite the fact of being on the north side, actually fairly protected. The vast majority of the weather in our area comes actually in from the southwest. We do occasionally get really bad storms in the wintertime from the northeast, but that's a fairly rare occurrence. Because it's in close to the house, it actually is fairly protected from the wind. It gets shaded certain times of the day, partial shaded, others full shade in the middle of the winter. But recently, I've transplanted the rhubarb, which was in a bed out in the middle of the yard, full sun all the time over in here, to join its friends, another rhubarb plant that was gifted to us several years ago by a friend that is doing great over here. And we figured, well, if that one likes it, these rhubarb plants might also enjoy it, and they had not been doing well out in the middle of the sun. So they are here. This section right here, this whole area is what we call an armored bed. In other words, it's got hardware cloth all the way around it on all sides and the bottom to prevent gophers from being able to dig into it and eat the roots off the plants. So we have 3 rhubarb plants here. This section here has already been planted. Well, there's one little teeny, I don't remember, I think that's a peppermint plant over there. And then this section has already been planted with spinach, which has not come up yet, which is fine. I didn't expect it to come up this quick. This section here is where I'm going to be transplanting in some of my seedlings. I have some pak choi, and then I also have to decide if I have enough room to plant the onions in here. I may not, but I definitely want to get some of the stuff planted in here. I have more space I'm working on down here. Unfortunately, it kind of stalled this week. We had other things that were more pressing. So let's get started with this first. 1, 2, 3. Now I have 6 little pak choi plants here. I started them in the greenhouse because it's so much easier to control the moisture content of the soil and all that sort of stuff there. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to set them in here. See, I should cut that a little closer. Trying to take advantage of what I have for space. I've been wanting to get these out of the greenhouse for a while, and it seems like every time I plan to, something went awry. These are sort of annoying little containers. These are from old annuals that I bought, I don't know how many years ago. But there we go. I'm going to take off this one little leaf, which doesn't look great. This guy here. Generally speaking, when we think about planting out in the garden, you think about trying to find someplace that's all sunny and stuff like that. But we live at high altitude in Arizona, and to be blunt, full sun here can just be plain too much for a lot of plants. And keeping plants in the partial shade at least, and these guys will get sun at some times of the day, but just not as much as if they were out in the middle of the yard here. This will keep them a lot cooler, which is our goal, because although these are a heat-resistant pak choi, our goal is to actually eat these before they go to seed. So we want to keep them cool enough so that they're highly likely to do well and yet prosper. All I'm going to do is transplant these guys in here. Now I'm giving them a goodly quantity of space around them because I know they'll be happier if they have a bit more space. It's been several years since I grew in a pak choi in the garden. We very successfully grew them this winter in the greenhouse. And in fact, we just ate another pot of chicken soup that was made with a freshly harvested head of pak choi yesterday. I have a few more in the greenhouse that'll be coming off in the next couple of weeks, but I'm trying to get it to the point where we don't run out, at least until it gets to the part of the summer where it's just plain too hot to grow them here. And that will happen, and I know it will. Meanwhile, we're going to do our best to succession plant. And I honestly think that succession plant for a lot of people is probably the hardest part of gardening. You can get your initial plants in, you can do well with them, but that somewhere along the line you're not sure when to start the next ones. And the net result is you run out of something that you'd rather not run out of. So we're trying twice as hard this year to be conscientious about getting plants planted, started, transplanted, and all that other stuff in a timely fashion. And there we go. That's all it is. And those are done. Now I have a section here. I don't want to get too far over because you'll see how far this plant comes this way. And that's a giant rhubarb plant. But I think I'm going to still slide in a few onions over here. Just a strip of maybe 2 or 3 in a row. I've got a tray. I actually started it last fall, and these have overwintered in the greenhouse. Unfortunately, we have not been able to get onion sets this spring. And actually, I've heard that from several people. We went early to buy our onion sets, and it was already too late. So some of these are onions and some of these are leeks. I believe the leeks are on this side, and the onions are on this side. It doesn't really matter to me. My whole goal was just to have somebody to plant in here. And this is just this weird little tray that I had growing in the greenhouse all winter. I had planned to plant it up 27 times and it just didn't happen. So I've kept the poor little plants alive, and now I'm going to set them out just as if I'd planned this. So they have nice roots. So this is sort of as if you buy the onion slips. They're already rooted, they're all ready to go. We're going to give them a try. It makes sense. I had plans this winter, and somehow it didn't go quite right, but that's okay. That's the way gardening is a lot of times. A lot of times it doesn't go quite right, and you just have to get over yourself. I was watching a wonderful video with Haas Tools last night, and they were talking about that. Don't think about things so hard that you get nothing done. That does happen sometimes. And it doesn't help the situation one darn bit if you freak out on things. And I'm giving these a bit of space because if they do grow properly, they will produce decent sized onion bulbs, and they'll need some space. I have no idea whether this is going to work or not. These are way huge. I think those are the leeks over there. But we're going to try it. What the heck? These were from seeds. Like I said, they've lived in the greenhouse all winter. And they somehow managed to make it. I did keep them watered as well as I could. And it seems to have worked. So maybe not the ideal circumstances, but we're going to try it anyway. And if they start to go to seed or whatever, we'll just pick them and use them. If onions are starting to go to seed, there's nothing wrong with them. You can still use them for cooking. They're just not going to hold as a keeper onion. It's not like they instantly become poisonous or something. They just, they'll develop a green shoot inside them, which we sometimes see when we buy them from the grocery store. And like I say, they won't keep. Lordy, lordy. Ah, this is giganticus tied together. Onion. Wow. I think this is the nicest onion root I've ever had. Which I guess is a testimony to how determined this onion was to survive. Okay, and what I'll do when I'm done with this, I need to water this morning anyway. I've got a bunch of peas and other things that need to be watered around here. I'll just go ahead and water everybody at the same time. I'm going to plant these guys in one way or the other. The rhubarb's not going to mind having some onions next door. At least I don't think it will. And if they get crowded a bit later by the rhubarb, that's okay, we'll deal. I just really need to get these guys out of the greenhouse and get them in the garden, especially since I've not been able to get onion sets going. I have onion seeds started in the greenhouse, or at least a couple of them. Not what I would choose to do normally, because I know I won't. I'll wind up overwintering some of them, which is great, but the point is to have onions when I want them. Now, I just mentioned overwintering onions. Depends on where you live in the United States and what kind of onions you're growing, but we do overwinter onions here. Usually I plant some onion sets in the spring, and sometimes some of them just don't finish in time, so we just overwinter them and we use them when they're ready. And that's it. I'm going to get the hose. I'm going to water everybody. This guy needs some more water too. This guy was just trimmed down the other day. He had a whole stack of flowers growing, which I didn't want. It's hose time. Gonna water the whole bed. We had a little bit of rain the other day, but it's now time to soak everybody good again. One of the nice things about this bed is, you see this line of rocks? Well, that's where the roof drips. And that line of rocks there is to keep dirt from jumping up onto everything when we get a heavy rain. But meanwhile, when we're not getting a heavy rain, when we're just getting some dew in the morning or frost or anything else like that, as the frost melts off, it drips off the edge of the roof, lands on here, and it helps to keep this bed moist, which is what we call free water. So that's always a good thing. It's not something I actively have worked to do other places I've lived, but then water was not an issue other places I've lived. Here, it's at a premium. We pay for every gallon that we buy from the town. And it's we're on water haul. We don't have a well. So we're trying to use as much of the natural resources like the dew melt off and stuff like that to keep our beds. And I'm going to need to start the okay. So what just happened was I need to restart the pump and repressurize the system and finish watering. But I hope this inspires you. I hope it inspires you to try planting something As I said, these leeks and onions were started from seeds. So were the pak choi. They've been in the greenhouse for a few weeks, and now it's time to bring them out as we get this new bed set up. This is one of our new beds that we're expanding this summer, something we've been planning to do for a couple of years, and we're making sure we do it this year. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and until next time, have a great day. Bye.